Thank you, Acting Deputy President. I don't really think I can top the contribution by Senator Sterle, who has, for many years, whether here in the Senate or in his previous life in the movement, very passionate about stand up for workers and workers' safety. And it's good to see the contribution by my good friend Senator Sterle here, and certainly echo the comments by him about trying to refer such matters off to the Rural and Regional Affairs References Committee, because I do think it does warrant greater scrutiny by this place. As my colleagues and other colleagues have already articulated, Labor has some serious concerns about this bill and the flaws that are contained within it. But before I address those, I do want to make the point, though, it is important to make clear that despite some of the measures that we'd like to see toughened up, there are some meaningful issues or meaningful combat serious crime in our community, and as such conduct really is a scourge and ought to be be considered, be subject to considered strong and well-targeted laws. But as Senator Still had articulated so well, there are a lot of gaps that this legislation has, and we really do need to seriously consider, and would hope that the Minister and others opposite would take on board the contribution by a number of Labor senators who are well across the issues for some time now. But Labor will never shirk away from the task of keeping Australians safe, and that's why we've proposed a number of amendments to the bill to ensure it meets the highest of standards that ought to be upheld for law relating to matters as serious as national security. Nonetheless, in its current form, it is clear that the bill before us does not meet that standard. And as was noted by many Labor senators as part of the committee inquiry into the bill, very little consideration has been given by the government to ensuring that it is fit for purpose and fair. My colleague Senator Keneally rightly pointed out last week that despite seeking to address the scourge of serious crime in our community, the bill before us even lacks a simple definition as to the exact meaning of serious crime. One is left to ask themselves, how can this bill be serious about serious crime when it does not even define what serious crime is? I mean, seriously, it's a bit of a joke, and it does reflect, I guess, the government's attitude towards this bill. One of the key elements of this debate relates to the issuance of aviation security identification cards and maritime security identification cards. ASIC and MSIC cards serve an important role in securing Australian transportation facilities from unlawful activity, and Labor supports the schemes behind them. But many of those seeking to engage in our work at our airports and on our docks are required to acquire one of these cards. And in assessing these applications, background checks are undertaken to ensure that applicants possess an appropriately sound record to fulfil such an important role in our economy, and currently over 250,000 Australians held either one of these two cards. Yet, despite the importance of these cards to such workers, we know that the current system for the issuance is beset of problems, with delays, sloppy paperwork and errors in decision-making being commonplace. Workers report wait times in excess of 3 months for assessment of their applications, and experiencing great anxiety each time their renewal comes due. This is because when errors do occur, being without an ASIC or MSIC card means being without a job. Part of this bill would seek to add more extensive background checks to the schemes, including intelligence assessments, and I'm concerned that the bill does not outline a pathway for appeal to those who are given an adverse security status judgment in relation to their cards. Of greatest concern with this bill, however, is the arrangements it seeks to put in place, or rather the lack of arrangements regarding foreign crew on foreign vessels carrying flags of convenience. Acting Deputy President, foreign crews on foreign vessels carrying flags of convenience are spared the levels of scrutiny that Australian workers seeking ASIC and MSIC cards undergo. These workers, often from developing countries and paid far less than what is permissible under our laws, are most commonly the holders merely of maritime crew visas and thus are not required to meet any standard or background inspection. This arrangement, which has been described as facilitating a poorer system of security at our transportation facilities, is deeply troubling. Now, the Department of Immigration and Border Protection itself articulated its concerns about the use of foreign vessels carrying flags of convenience for serious crime. And I think this is where Senator Sterle earlier was trying to find the actual quote from the report. In a submission to the Senate Standing Committee on Rural and Regional Affairs and Transport in 2017, it stated, and this is the section that Senator Sterle was trying to find earlier, and I will quote from the report from the department, "Reduced transparency or secrecy surrounding complex financial and ownership arrangements are factors that can make flag of convenience ships more attractive for use in illegal activity, including by organised crime or terrorist groups. This means that flag of convenience ships may be used in a range of illegal activities, including illegal exploitation of natural resources, illegal activity in protected areas, people smuggling and facilitating prohibited imports or exports." So one is left to wonder, with concerns such as these at hand, why does this bill do nothing to address them? Why instead does it specifically target Australian workers merely going about their work and seeking to provide a living for themselves? It appears to many that what we really have here is one law for Australians on our docks and one law for foreigners. What we have with this bill is a set of measures from the government that would seek to make it harder for Australian workers to get appropriate checks that they need to do their job, but do nothing to protect Australia from foreign threats. Make no mistake, Australian transport workers understand the importance of robust security arrangements. Let us not forget, should the worst occur, they are the ones on site most likely to suffer injury as a result. It shouldn't come as a surprise that this government would be seeking to make life difficult for Australian maritime workers. After all, this is the government that has presided over the systemic undermining of our domestic shipping industry and the workers that rely on it to support their families. Whilst there are certainly real concerns that this bill should be addressing, sadly in its current form it falls well short of doing so. And I urge those opposite to seriously consider the amendments proposed by Labor. Only with those in place can this bill achieve what it is supposed to do, to keep us all safe.